Hello, Timmy. How are your journalistic ventures going along? I can see that you are very prepared today. Yes, you are wearing your reporter's fedora. You also have a mug filled with your favorite whiskey. You have today's newspapers to look for story ideas. Very good. You also have your Apple laptop. Hold on a second, Timmy. Aren't you forgetting something? Think about it a second. No, you have your hat. You didn't forget that. You didn't forget your whiskey either. Think, what are you forgetting, Timmy? You're forgetting about journalism ethics. Yes, Timmy. Journalism ethics are the guidelines that you must follow morally. We reporters need to be careful with how we take pictures and collect information, as well as take caution with how we write and word our stories. At the end of the day, ethics are what make our nation's papers and telecasts great. But what should your ethics be, Timmy? Let's start with Immanuel Kant's categorical imperative. Now, you could sit down now and start reading some of Kant's work, but you'll find it to be very old, very dense, and very boring. For the sake of this video lesson, we'll cut it down short. With categorical imperative, you should consider, would you do a certain thing every time? If not, you should not do it at all. For example, Timmy could be reporting critically on Herman Cain's recent sex scandals. Hold on a second, Timmy. You're forgetting that Newt Gingrich had multiple sex scandals as well. Would you report critically about Newt Gingrich? If not, you should avoid writing this story. Next, we should consider John Rawls' veil of ignorance, in which one should ignore any social, racial, and economic statuses within a report. For example, Timmy is writing about a homeless man stealing food from an elderly woman. Well, this headline is judgmental and unbalanced. Timmy should ignore the status of the woman and the robin and write the headline for what it is. Very good, Timmy. You should start taking notes now because things will get more complex. Sometimes, it is hard to minimize harm in a news story. When there are sensitive topics and your sources are emotionally upset, you should do whatever you can to avoid hurting their feelings, such as publishing sensitive photos or material. Such photos or material could hit a raw nerve with your audiences, your sources, and your editors, and you should avoid such material at all costs. Most importantly, a journalist must be objective and separate from outside influences. For example, sometimes your sources will appeal to you with gifts. Never use these gifts as reason to write better about your sources. However, if the gift is worth $20 or less, you may keep it. That's right, Timmy. That means you can enjoy those cookies. On the other hand, if the gift is more expensive, such as a new camera, you will want to return it or throw it out altogether. Sometimes, although very rarely, your sources may try to coerce you. In this case, immediately alert your editors of the situation and contact the authorities to protect you and your coworkers. Objectivity can also be challenged through relations with sources. You should never write a story about a person or institution that you have connections with, whether social, economic, or sexual. And remember, never sleep with your sources. Now that you have all this information, you must be wondering, how do I use these ethics? Well, Timmy, there's something that we in the field like to call the Potter box, a 4-step way to apply ethics. The first step is to identify your problem, whether or not you should publish a certain picture or write a certain story. The second step is to identify your most important values, such as truth, objectivity, individuality, minimization of harm, or others. The third step is to apply one of our ethical principles, either Kant's categorical imperative or Rawls' veil of ignorance. Lastly, you'll want to identify your loyalties. As a journalist writing in the United States, you have a duty to respect your country, as well as remain loyal to your family and your coworkers and employers. If you use all these 4 steps and keep your integrity in mind, you'll be right on your way to being a successful journalist. Timmy, you can start writing now.